hours they have during the program, which is from the 20th of November. I'm still working on this because I wanted to go over a bit, but I have put it on the mailing list, so you can access it there. But someone else in the legal group is helping me edit it down to just one page back and front, and so then we'll have copies on the 28th to give out to everyone. So I wanted to just go through a couple of these really quickly first, and then you can get the detail later when you go through yourself. You should have written authority to conduct a protest, a rally or a march to the street. There's been some discussion on the mailing list about whether to go to the police and apply for a permit for the occupation. We should get a vote on that from everyone if we want to go and do that without sidelining on it. And also we've nailed down where we're going to do it. That's really important as well. Because if you do one without approval, you're liable to an on-the-spot fine of $50, and it can also go on to court, in which case it could be $800 or $1,600, depending on if you've committed an offence before. So if we're able to get a discussion on whether or not we should have a permit applied to police, because we need to do it at least 4 days before the protest, so it's something that we want to get on right away. So does anyone want to speak about that?
I want to ask a question. What's the difference when they say no, which they probably does that increase the legal risk?
Well, there's been discussion about this. I mean, they know either way that we're planning to occupy. I think it might be best to go and speak to them, even if we don't get a permit, to just try to establish a good relationship with the police, because they don't want to do what happened in Melbourne either. But I think that they generally don't give out these on-the-spot fines of $50, but there's lots of protests that happen without a permit. I guess if it did start to get violent, then they might actually want to do that. But if you give you a permit, you can take matters to magistrate's court. They can only refuse if they think you're going to give rise to an obstruction that's too great or too prolonged, cause damage to the street, or create a public nuisance. So it's going to be important for us to say we're not going to do anything like that, which is why it's good to have organised groups planning these kind of things. So if they do refuse, then you can go to the magistrate's court and appeal it. So obviously we try to do that if we did apply for one. As far as a peaceful protest, you shouldn't be abusive, you shouldn't threaten a person with violence, you shouldn't assault, hit, hurt anyone, interfere with or damage equipment, possessions of property. And if arrested, you should go with the police, basically. Now that's the advice from the Environmental Defenders Office, which is a community legal organisation. If a police officer or any person in charge of a particular place asks you to stop protesting, it's an offence not to leave when asked to do so. And it's also an offence to leave and then re-enter again. And the maximum penalty for that is $500 or 6 months jail. If you are arrested, they can arrest you if they reasonably suspect you have committed, are committing, or about to commit a serious offence, which is if you've a jail term of over 5 years, or if they suspect you have committed or about to commit an offence and you're basically going to commit another offence, endanger safety, things like that. Most of those arrests can be made without a warrant. They can use as much force as is reasonably necessary to restrain you. Force is being used against you or if you're injured. You can report the matter to an officer in charge of the police station, and then you can make a written complaint. It's best to do a written complaint, have that dated and signed. Go see a doctor, have a big family injuries, and document it, take photos, and then get legal advice. Legal aid, they advise on criminal law issues, so you can call them up, they've got information online, Legal Aid WA, and they can let you know where you can get some legal advice. If you are arrested, ask what the charges are that are being laid against you. Keep calm and polite. If you resist arrest or are abusive, then other charges may be laid against you. And you should seek legal advice as soon as you can. When it comes to answering questions from the police, you have to provide your name, your address, and your date of birth if requested. If you refuse to do so, you may be charged with offence. And it is an offence to give information to police that you know is incorrect or misleading. Generally, you don't just answer any other questions or sign a statement or do a video interview except if it's a road traffic offence or drug offence and sort of kind of things. You don't seem to reply. So what I would say is that if answer the required questions, so give them your name, your address, everything else. Don't say anything else because it can be held against you. Go see a lawyer and then you can speak about it. Now, if the protest becomes unruly, then the police can call it an unlawful assembly, and that's a maximum jail time of 12 months. If the unlawful assembly threatens the peace, it's called a riot, and there's a maximum penalty of 3 years jail for that. Now, there was just one thing I wanted to cover with the Chogham laws. I know some of you went to the legal briefing on Thursday, and Kate Davis went over a couple of these issues. The police have said on their website that the public are allowed the core security area, and those are the areas where there's basically the core security areas and then the restricted areas. The restricted areas are the Chogham delegates, the public aren't allowed in there at all. The core security areas are the ones just outside there, they've been mapped out. There's a map on the police website. I've got one. I'm going to put one on the flyer as well, showing you the areas. They can declare additional security areas without notice, so you may not even know that you're in a security area, but you will be in one and then goes around the flight. Now, the police have said on their website that you are allowed in a core security area, so that's not the restricted, the ones just outside that, provided you comply with certain conditions, such as not carrying any prohibited items, not behaving unlawfully, complying with police directions, etc. However, according to the Act, it is an offence to enter that area unless you have a special justification, such as authorisation from the police, or you work in that area, or you're a resident there. What the police have said is not consistent with what the Act says, and you can be subject to 12 months in prison if you actually enter there without a special justification. So I want to give everyone a warning before they do that. If you are going to have a police permit that authorised beforehand, that may change the situation. But I'm just very concerned that the police website seems to be not really giving the public a full warning about that situation. And also, I'm going to go, a couple of the restricted items include anything capable of being used as a disguise, so that includes the dark orcs mask, any kind of costume, and poles of a metre of length, so the kind of use of that. And I know that Chogham people are quite aware of that as well. Most other things you shouldn't be an issue. It's things you know, really think spray paint cans, handcuffs, things like that. But all this information you can read on this website, and you can have a read through it yourself if you have more time. Now, most offences under the Chogham Act, maximum penalty 12 months in prison. It's $6,000 fine if you bring a prohibited item into a core security area. And any orders made or ordered to be made, so even if there's claiming to be made, it sounds too dodgy to me, about additional security areas, restricted areas, or declaring a Chogham event and not open to appeal, challenge or review. So you cannot go to any court or commission and appeal anything under that, which is really important to know. Now, I will be giving out flyers on the 28th, and I've given you legal aid details on the flyer because they're probably people to contact, or another local community legal centre. So you can look up the community legal centres that are in your area that can provide advice for you. There was one other thing I wanted to cover. The role of the legal observers at these Occupy movements has been to provide legal information primarily, but also to observe what is happening and to document what's happening. Take notes of who's being arrested, film if there's any kind of unreasonable force used by police, and to track the arrests and let everyone know. Wants to help out with the legal team. You don't need any legal expertise to be a legal observer. It's just going to be handing out the information and basically documenting it, that kind of thing. It would be good to have some people there, perhaps on a roster, at least, or some kind of observing that kind of information, and identify in some way, like